Good evening and welcome. I'm Vincent Makori. This is Africa 54. Now, scores of hungry, angry migrants are stuck in a makeshift tent camp just meters from the Macedonia on the Greek side of the border. And the group consists of mostly Syrians, with some Iraqis and North Africans among them. They are trapped in Greece as some countries begin cracking down on migrants moving freely across Europe. So far, there are no signs that Macedonia's government will have a change of heart and open its borders. After meeting Thursday with European Council President Donald Tusk in Athens, Greece's Prime Minister called for sanctions to be imposed on European Union states that refuse to take in their share of the thousands of refugees arriving in this country. Well, Greece has become the main entry point into the EU for refugees and migrants from Turkey. The International Organization for Migration reports that 100,000 migrants entered Greece in the first 6 weeks of this year. That's far more than the same period last year. Reporter Laurel Bowman recently spent the day in Lesbos, Greece, where thousands of refugees have landed. Here's a personal account.
Our day on the island of Lesbos starts by the water, high on a ledge looking out at the Aegean Sea and the Turkish coast beyond. Karen and Lauren are volunteers with the Dutch Boat Refugee Foundation. They are trying to spot boats overpacked with refugees during the 7 to 8 mile stretch here between Turkey and Greece.
It's interesting because when you spot them, they're usually still in Turkish waters, so you're just hoping, little boat, go little boat, go little boat.
And the situation that's happening in Syria and in different areas of the world right now is too intense for individuals to be able to handle on their own. And they deserve help. They deserve the opportunity to live happy and successful lives.
We leave the boat spotters and continue down the beach, where we find the remains of previous refugee boat landings. Life jackets, wet shoes, punctured dinghies meant to carry 8 or so people, but loaded down with more.
So the volunteers here say that this boat arrived last night. Tiny little piece of rubber, deflated now, and it could have carried up to 60 people.
Our journey down the dirt path hugging the coastline continues. Peggy is a volunteer with the Starfish Foundation, which also helps refugees. She takes us here.
This is what we unofficially call the life jacket graveyard. It's quite a somber mood, I think, when people come here, because you really understand the scale of this human tragedy that's playing out here.
And then the call comes. The Greek Coast Guard has rescued a group of refugees from a boat at sea. We head for the port, where we find more volunteers ready to help. These are images of the boats in the port. We shot them because journalists are barred from taping the Coast Guard offloading refugees. Just 50 feet away, the refugees are disembarking. Most don't want to be recorded.
Why doesn't he want to be on camera?
ليش ما بدك تتصور؟ He just doesn't want to.
But they seem happy to have photos taken of their children and glad to interact with the volunteers, who give them dry socks, food, water, affection. This young Syrian is thrilled he made it. He designs clothes and is bound for Germany.
My name is Noor. His journey, it didn't take a lot of time, like it was an hour and a half, and there was no complications for him.
Why did he decide to do this?
It's better not.
Stand by. What?
It's better not to say. It's better not to say because his family is still in Syria.
This Syrian man said he didn't have it so easy. He complained about the Turkish Coast Guard.
He told me that, and also told the camera that he tried 3 times to departure. First 2 times, the Coast Guard took him to a station, and they were blackmailing them and asking them for money.
All in all, on this day, it's a quiet, orderly scene. Buses stand by to take the refugees to processing centers. Then they are on to new lives in Western Europe and beyond.
Well, Laurel Bowman now joins me here in studio to tell us more about our encounter with migrants in Europe. Laura, welcome to Africa 54 again.
Thanks so
Good to
much,
see you.
Vincent. It's great to be here.
Now, that's a good story. What are some of the things that you would say stuck with you while you were there?
Well, there were so many, but one of the things I think that surprised me the most were the amount of young volunteers actually on the ground there. You think of these people in their early 20s who are getting their one chance to go around the globe before they come home and, you know, get jobs for the rest of their lives, and they're there helping. That was one thing. Another, a woman who had a restaurant and would just see the refugees streaming by her restaurant. She started to feed them. And then she started her whole NGO with supplies coming from all over the world. So that was really amazing as well.
And we saw that lady in the story. Tell us about the life jacket graveyard. Tell us a bit more about that.
Well, she kept saying, that volunteer kept saying, I need to take you to the life jacket graveyard. I need to take you to the life jacket graveyard. And so I was really focused on, you know, the boat, and so that was fine. But after we saw the refugees, she took me to this place where all of the discarded life jackets from all of the refugees have been placed. And it just really helps you see the magnitude of the situation. And she also said that a Chinese artist had recently taken 14,000 of these life jackets off the pile and taken them to Berlin, where he had attached them to a landmark concert house just to show Europeans, hey, these are the refugees that are coming our way, and maybe we should have some heart.
Now, about those jackets, some have asked, just like Micah, our floor manager, why can they be taken back to some place to be reused to help other people?
Well, a lot of them don't actually work. They're actually knockoff life jackets. So you wouldn't want to take one of those and try and stay afloat. You know, there are hundreds of drownings even so far this year. And then a lot of them were broken. Okay. A lot of them were actually rubber things, you know, for the children that...
So they've gone through a rough time.
Yeah.
Very quickly, you know, the landing you shot at looked pretty peaceful. So what are some of the more harrowing experiences that perhaps didn't come through in the package?
Well, it's February, first of all, which is the absolute worst time to try and do a crossing like this because it's extremely cold. So if you fall into the water, and these boats are really overweighted, you know, a boat that should carry 8, carrying 60, that sort of thing. If you were to fall into the water, hypothermia is a huge risk. Drownings, they've complained to the Turkish Coast Guard, starting to rough them up, beat them, spray them with water. These are reports that the refugees have told the volunteers. So, you know, those are just some of the, and smugglers, of course, you know, they all have to find a smuggler, pick a good smuggler. How do you pick a good smuggler? Pay $500.
I mean, the word itself. So either way, it's just a challenge. It's a challenge. Well, thank you very much for taking, you know, the chance to go to Greece and bringing us that very heart-wrenching report.
Thanks, Vince, for having me.
Well, Laurel Bowman reporting.